Hello, everybody. This is Lynn Graham with 5 minutes of a family devotion. Well, I'm in Matthew tonight, and Matthew's really significant. In Matthew, he mentions Jesus as king. He references him as king over 50 times. And as a government person, as a tax collector, he would have been very much interested in chain of command. Of course, he mentions the genealogy. So that's for the Hebrew people that he's writing to, because he said, hey, look, go check it out. He meets the requirements. And then, of course, he talks about the prophecies that he fulfilled in being born in Bethlehem. And actually, for him to have been born in Bethlehem, he had to travel to get there. Remember, Mary was on a donkey. So they had to get there in order for it to fulfill the requirement. But there's some other things I want you to point out about Matthew. And I just went not even halfway through the book and pointed out almost everything there in the book of Matthew, which is also true for the other Gospels, are public things, things that happened in public, which you could have been easily refuted. And let me just give you some of these things. Besides the fact that there were 20 parables spoken, and remember there was the prophecy that he would speak in parables, he also performed 21 miracles in Matthew, some of which are in the other books, the Gospels, and some of which are not, but nevertheless were public, and so therefore could have been easily refuted. It's almost like if we didn't believe in Jesus, if there was no prophecy about Jesus, and that was just a fairy tale, that you would look at this whole book of Matthew as well as the other Gospels and say, this is all just a fairy tale that was written a couple of thousand years ago. But nobody dies for a fairy tale. People don't get converted from fairy tales. He fulfilled prophecy. That's why Jesus said, or when he gave the illustration of Lazarus and the rich man, he said, if they don't listen to the prophets, they won't listen to you either till you come back from the dead. So, well, let's talk about some of these wild, bold proclamations in addition to we won't look at the miracles per se, but there was a lot of conversation about the miracles, such as healing on the Sabbath and that sort of stuff like that. So he addressed these people head on. So there's the genealogy. There's the announcement of Jesus to Joseph. There's his proclamation by an angel. There's the visit by the wise men. And then that whole wise man adventure is a lot more to it than what you might think, because of the when Daniel was held in captivity, and when the proclamation that when he would come in to the city. There's also the fact that Herod and the whole city, it says, was in an uproar. Then they killed the children, and then they went to Egypt and came out of Egypt. There's the prophecy. He talks about the fulfillment of prophecy of Bethlehem. There's John the Baptist and his baptism. There's a lot of stuff packed in there too. That's just a title for a lot of what happened in that time that people would have seen. There was Jesus 40 days in the wilderness. There were his disciples being called out. His fame, it said, went out before him in all of Syria because he healed the sick. There was the sermon on fulfilling the law, and there's this public sermons about murder, adultery, divorce, wealth, judging, fasting, the golden rule. These were all big deal sermons. This was a big deal sermon in the book of Matthew. It goes into a great deal in talking about it. There's the let me go back. Disciples do not fast. There's talk about that. Of course, the disciples would have validated everything. Instructions on the delegation of power. Again, about in regards to the disciples. The 12 were sent out. The whole part about John the Baptist being, in jail, and then of course there's all the chapters about how the Jews schemed against Jesus, and then there's the death and resurrection. There's so much there. There's no secret writings that nobody knows about. There's no, Jesus just spoke to me and this is what he said. These things were public. And you find these things in the Gospels as well, which is why they're believable, which means you should obey. Thank you and have a great day.